Welcome to the Tara Palmeri Show. Thanks to all of you who have been with me since I launched this show back in March, and to all of you who have just come along and joined this community. I'm back from vacation. Thank you to all of you who gave me those few days off. I just celebrated my birthday, and I came home to a tree that is very much dead, this fiddle leaf behind me. And I think it's a symbol of my life. Sadly, the symbol of a globe-trotting journalist who can't deal with a plant baby right now. If you have any advice on how to save this fiddle leaf, please let me know. It has sadly been dying for a long time, but you can leave your comments and tell me what I can do if there is anything left. Perhaps I just need to replace it with a fake tree. But yeah, I'm heading to DC tomorrow at a very ungodly hour, about like 4 a.m. I'm going to wake up to get on a train so that I can cover the presser for all of the Epstein victims. They will be there and they will be telling their stories of survival. And they'll also be pressuring Capitol Hill members to vote to release the Epstein files. That's what they want. And yet the Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, said, no, I'm protecting these ladies by not releasing the files. And they're saying, no, actually release the files. If they're Jane Does, then just redact their names. If they're not, you can put it out there. You know, when Mike Johnson says protect the victims, is he talking about these women who came all the way down to DC to say release the files? Or is he talking about the men who they are accusing of being sex traffickers, men that they have been trafficked to, powerful men, friends of Jeffrey Epstein? Are they the same men that President Trump wants to protect? That's the real question, right? Well, I am going down there not just to cover this event and this rally. I'm also there to reunite with some of the brave women that I have worked with over the years, like Marika Chartouni. She's a survivor of Jeffrey Epstein. We traveled all over the country together with Virginia Giuffre, who sadly won't be there, but her family will be there for her. It'll be a moment for us to reunite and to see Annie Farmer and so many other women that I am incredibly proud to know and who have helped me report this story out so that you can know more, who have taken really, really brave positions. I just bought this book that Marika has been reading and told me to read. It's called Credible: Why We Doubt Accusers and Protect Abusers by Deborah Tuerkheimer. I think I might try to have her on the show, by the way. And I think it's interesting because it really is the overarching theme for all of this, right? Who are we trying to protect in this case? Are we trying to protect the accusers or protect the abusers? And this book really goes into this whole idea of credibility bias and how the people who accuse really have to go above and beyond to prove their credibility, and that there's always a bias towards the powerful in these cases. Really, it's really a reckoning of the Me Too movement and what we've actually gained from that, if anything. I mean, what does it really take to be believed? And I think that's what we're starting to see with this Epstein story. But it's incredible what Congressman Thomas Massie was able to do with Democratic Congressman Ro Khanna. Massie is a Republican who has been on the wrong side of Trump, and he is not afraid to pick a fight. And this was one of the fights he chose to pick. It's one that has dogged Trump for months. And he is basically saying, release the files. Speaker Johnson did not want his Republican members to have to vote to release the Epstein files, forcing the members of Congress, the Republican members, to decide whether they will vote for transparency, to release the Epstein files, to vote along with what the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein want, or whether they will vote along with President Trump, who wants this story to go away, who says that he does not want this released because he's protecting the innocent, but never really clarifying who the innocent really are. Now, I heard from a source inside of the room, Speaker Johnson met with some of the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein and their attorney, Sigrid McCauley. She's a powerhouse attorney. She's a partner of David Boies, who really took Epstein on and represented so many of the victims. And she said, she warned them, if you get these files from the Department of Justice, if they're released and the names are unredacted, it's going to show you the names of very powerful men that my clients have been trafficked to. And what are you going to do about it? are you going to build a real case? And, these members promised justice for these victims who have for so long been overlooked and disregarded by the justice system. We'll see if they are actually able to do that. In the meantime, the DOJ, Department of Justice, is dribbling out just really, small dribbles of information. 1% is the latest of the gigabytes, the 300 gigabytes that they're holding on to. 1 gigabyte came out, okay? And here's the problem. How much of it is actually redacted? How much of it is new? House Oversight Chairman James Comer, who received them, told NBC that there is nothing new in these files. Now, there are some flight logs from the Customs and Border Patrol between the U.S. Virgin Islands and Jeffrey Epstein's Little St. James Island, where so much of this depravity happened. And if those flight logs, which I haven't been able to look over yet, show the names of victims and the men that they've accused of sexually assaulting them or molesting them on the same flights, that could certainly help if you wanted to build a trial, right? If these prosecutors actually wanted to build a trial, they could do that and they could use that as evidence. Certainly that was used in the cases against Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. Well, it would have been used in a case against Jeffrey Epstein if they actually brought it to trial. But in Maxwell's case, they used Jane Doe's to prosecute her. You can use Jane Doe's to build a case. And this is the kind of evidence you need. You need the flight logs. You need the pilots, the chauffeurs, the chefs, the people, the witnesses around. This is just more of that. If you choose to use it and to actually build a case. So, this has been, very underwhelming, obviously, that only 1% of the files have been released. But if the Congress votes to release them, maybe all of them have to be released. We'll see what happens. But, I'm really proud to see so many of these survivors out there. They're sharing their truth. They're pushing, our leaders. And they are, doing what they believe. And they're coming from all over the country. Marika is coming all the way from the West Coast, from Washington State. And, they're doing this because they really believe in it. And I don't think we can dismiss them. And I hope that they'll be heard on those Capitol Hill steps, that the government will finally take them seriously. I break down all of this and more on Erin Burnett's show on Tuesday night. Take a listen here.
Breaking news, Congress just releasing tens of thousands of pages from the Epstein files, tens of thousands of pages. Now, right now, CNN's combing through these documents. There are redactions in there as well. Democrats on the House Oversight Committee, though, have complained that this batch from the DOJ contains very little new information. It does come as members of the committee, along with House Speaker Mike Johnson, met with 6 Epstein accusers for more than 2 hours today. That's important. They were able to share their harrowing stories with the speaker as they are pushing the Trump administration to release all of the files.
There were tears in the room. There was outrage. It was both, I would describe it as heartbreaking and infuriating that justice has been delayed so long.
Speaker Johnson making those comments, talking about delayed, which would imply that now it's time for justice. But he is also, in terms of his action, opposing a push from Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, who at this hour is collecting signatures for a petition that would force a vote on the release of the full Epstein files. He only needs 6 Republicans to join him. All right, Barry Levine's with us, former editor of the National Enquirer, author of The Spider about the Epstein investigation, and Tara Palmeri, who has reported extensively on Epstein and also has been speaking with some of his accusers today. So, Barry, just to go through the data, we were all just sitting here prior to this, of what we got. Ro Khanna told NPR this morning, I was jotting it all down because I thought he laid it out well, 1 gigabyte of information was released. Sounds like a lot. Oh, a gigabyte. Well, there were 300 total. So we got 1 out of the 300. That's less than 1%. And of that less than 1% of the Epstein files, almost all of it, 97% of that little bit was already out there. So when people say we want the full Epstein files, that's not what this is. That's why Massie and Connor are up in arms. So is this anything new in here?
Erin, I wish we had something really bombshell to talk about, but what we're seeing, at least what I started going through, I'm seeing the same stuff that's already been out in the public domain that already has redactions on going back to the original Palm Beach case. We have Maxwell's court case. We don't have any of the juicy stuff that might tell us something and might give some of these victims closure. Where's the autopsy report on Epstein? Where's the 60-count indictment that was drawn up by the FBI that never came to pass? Really good information's in that material. The computer files, all the CDs. We're not seeing any of that tonight. What we are seeing is the possibility of a tidbit or two from the Customs and Protection list of Epstein flights from 2000 to 2014.
So some more flights.
There might be something new in some of that may be or may not be redacted. I haven't gotten to that portion of it yet, but I'm expecting no real bombshells tonight from the new material.
And really, Tara, I mean, the takeaway here is, okay, it's nice they're releasing what they were given.
Right.
But why 1 gigabyte out of 300? I mean, what is the problem here, right? If everyone wants transparency, give it to them all. Put it out there. That's not what happened.
It's interesting because Speaker Johnson says he's protecting the innocent, and yet the innocent who were there speaking to him directly, 6 Epstein survivors, in a room with him saying, no, we want the files out there. This is what we want. You're not protecting us. This is, in fact, the opposite of that. I know that from a source that their attorney, Sigrid McCauley, she's a partner at David Boies' firm. She's a powerhouse attorney. And she said, when you get those Epstein files, when the DOJ hands them over, if they are unredacted, you are going to see the names of men that my clients have accused that they have been trafficked to. That these people, they are out there and that they want justice. They're not okay with just Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein being prosecuted.
And just to be clear, right, and I think this is so important, is what do the victims want? Well, they're saying they want this out there. And Tara's reporting, Barry, has shown that there's over 1,000 male names, possibly, in the total files. Right?
1,000 victims,
1,000 victims. I'm sorry.
Right.
I'm sorry. And countless men, right? We don't know, but that part is redacted, right?
Dozens and dozens of men.
Yeah. This is certainly something that really is the heart of the files. Let's go after these individuals, not only the men who took part in the sex trafficking, but also the enablers, the men who put some of these victims on planes to the Virgin Islands for Jeffrey Epstein. He had international fixers in several different countries who were supplying young girls to him. We know from the Attorney General in the Virgin Islands that there were girls as young as 12 years old who got off planes. There were men who put these girls on those planes, and we need to do a full sweep of all these files to come up with as many names of enablers and also individuals who took part in the trafficking.
So Tara, why is it, and every time I talk about this with anybody, in conversation, it comes up a lot. What they say is, how come it hasn't leaked? How come something like this, where justice could be done by those men being exposed, why hasn't it ever leaked? I mean, you've been covering this and reporting on it for a long time.
It's interesting that you said that, because I think it's the fact that the people that are in those files, the men that are mentioned, are just so powerful. And this is just another extension of what we're seeing right now in our government, lawfare. If these names are released, those very powerful men, first of all, they've already fought the courts to keep their names redacted in all these depositions and all these files that are public. As you saw when Virginia Giuffre's documents were released by Pam Bondi, the classified documents, they were just her redacted depositions, right? Already public. And that's the thing. I mean, there is a fear of retribution, of lawfare, of defamation suits by some of the most powerful men in the world. I mean, we're talking about foreign dignitaries, leaders, politicians, heads of state, business, finance. I mean, he rolled in some serious circles. I do think if there are some details in these flight logs, maybe it can be used to put together a real case if a prosecutor wanted to do it, to show, okay, I can place this victim on this plane going to this island with these people. I mean, if you actually wanted to build a case, you could do it.
Yes, you have that evidence, and you also have the existing flight logs. And if you match up some of the new material that's coming out tonight, there may be substantiated evidence that could be used in a possible prosecution.
And we can all just hope when Speaker Johnson says delayed justice that that something's going to change and that he actually is going to want justice for those men and pursue that. Thank you both very much.
I want to thank my producer, Eric Abinate, Adam Stewart, who handles my thumbnails, and Abby Baker on my social media. If you want to support my independent journalism and get my scoops straight to your inbox, please sign up for the Red Letter. You can do that by going to tarapalmeri.com. That's TARAPALMERI.com. You can obviously share this with your friends, like, subscribe, leave a written review. I'm not backing down. I'm back from my vacation. I feel so much stronger. Thank you to all of you who have sent me notes. Just turned 38, and it's going to be 30 great. And I really feel positive about what I am able to accomplish with this community, what we can all do. And I appreciate all the tips and everything you've sent to me. And of course, I'll be in DC on Wednesday, so check out my social media. I'll be on MSNBC. I'll be on Nicole Wallace's show. I'll be doing a live on Substack with Terry Moran. You can go to Substack. I'm on there at Tara Palmeri, and I'll be live from the Capitol. So check out all of my social media. Check out my podcasts, everything. I will be there. Twitter, X, whatever they're calling it now. I'll be back again soon.